Today we're looking at AceBeam's E70 Everyday Carry or EDC flashlight. This is an interesting flashlight to me because this is my one-line review here. It seems like they tried to put the most amount of runtime and lumens into something you could reasonably carry every day. Now, I'm going to explain more about this, about what I think the limitations of this light are and where I think it shines and where I think its pitfalls are. But honestly, that is my one-line review. If you want the longest running, most powerful flashlight you can stick into your pocket reasonably on an everyday carry kind of situation, this is probably it. This is the one. So let's take a look at the shipping box first. This retail box sits in a carton that is taped on all sides, does a good job of protecting it and getting to you in one piece. You can even see that they got this extra bubble wrap here to protect the retail packaging. And the retail packaging itself is really nice. It's got a little magnetic flap here and a little window so you can see it. Now, I don't really usually care about retail packages. I'm all about the flashlight. However, I mention it because sometimes you're purchasing it as a gift, and then this kind of stuff does matter. Presentation matters in those situations. Now, let's take a short look at what's inside the box. You got the flashlight itself, which comes with a lanyard. There's your flashlight. Got a little carry bag, got some O-rings, a little manuals. The usual fare. Nothing too surprising there. Let's talk about the ergonomics of this flashlight. So, at first brush, this flashlight is kind of large for an EDC. And that's the number one complaint I hear, is that it's just kind of a big light. Now, it's not that big, but if I put it against like a KR4 here or a D4 V2, both of these are Hank Wang lights, you can see it's quite a bit longer. So here, I'll hold them up like this, get the bottom there. You can see that it is a longer light. Circumference-wise, it's about the same, though. It's really not that different. I mean, a little thicker maybe, but not tremendously so. You can see on its end here, it's about the same. So really, it's just a longer kind of flashlight, but some of that is probably due to the fact that it's got a deep reflector here, and both of these lights use shallow total internal reflective optics. So this extra depth here, I think if I kind of look at it, you see that the emitter's probably somewhere in here, and then there's this deep reflector. Some people I know like to carry some larger EDCs, and so this wouldn't kind of off-put anyone if you're into a larger EDC like that. I know that for me, the K4 is kind of at the edge of what I like to put in my pocket for, a shift at work. I like to go actually even a little smaller and use a Hanko like this light. And you can see here that there's a considerable size difference, both in diameter and length. So I would say that this light here is what I prefer for size in my pocket. But this is also an 18350 battery in here. So while that helps me with weight and size, it really kills you on runtime. So in the type of work that I do, where I'll use a light frequently throughout the day, but only for just a small amount of time each, this is fine. However, if I needed a kind of a tool, a duty light where I was going to have it on for a long time, this light here is heads and shoulders better than these other ones because they're all 18650s or smaller, and this one's a 21700. So that's a lot bigger of a cell, and that should be noted. This has quite a bit more runtime than the cells used in these other lights. So let's take a look at some other things about the ergonomics of this light now. It's got these cool little cutouts on the side here to actually serve a mechanical purpose as well as an aesthetic one. If you look at a side switch light like this D4, you got a switch right here, an E switch that operates the light. On a tail switch light like these two guys with tail switches, there has to be some way for the electronics in the head to get, conductivity or wires, if you will, down to the tail switch. And how do you do it? Well, the answer is this internal sleeve. And you see this on Lumen Top and the International Outdoor MSR lights from Hank Wang. You see this little sleeve right here. The sleeve carries that extra conductivity down to the switch for the E-switch. So what AceBeam did on this light is they built that little sleeve in there to do the same thing, but they anodized it blue and have these cutouts, and they kind of show that off. And I think it's a really nice look. It's really eye-catching, and I think even people that aren't really into flashlights kind of go, ooh, what's going on there? So the overall look of this light's kind of neat. The threads are nice there on the head. They're pretty well lubed and pretty easy to thread on. I'm neither here nor there on the kind of cutouts here on the side. They look fine to me. I don't really care either way. The crenulated bezel, it looks really aggressive, and at first I was concerned that this was going to hurt if I rubbed my finger up against it. Pleased to say that it doesn't. I can push pretty hard with my thumb, and it doesn't hurt. So it's not going to tear up your pants or anything. It looks worse than it is. One thing that I found out recently is that a lot of these cutouts on the side are actually tritium slot cutouts. So I've got a little trit vial here, and I'll give you a shot on that. All right, so I got a little tritium vial here, and you'll see that those little tritium vials fit right in there, no problem. So there's a little tritium, and I guess if you want, I mean, the tritium prices are insane at the moment. They're $25 a vial, so I can't really see putting a bunch of tritiums in here, but it's a cool option to have if the price ever comes back down. And there's always glow tubes if you want to go that way. So let me get this expensive vial out of here and just point out that I always like tritium slots. I think that it's cool. I mean, even if you don't put a tritium slot in there, it has a look on its own, but I always like the option to do that. It's kind of nice to be able to find your flashlight in the dark when it's not on. Looking back on the clip on the back here, I like that this clip is a very standard design. It's the hole spacing on the clip here is the very standard steel flame spacing. So all the aftermarket clips will work with this light. Some people like a really firm clip. This one's actually pretty springy. It's pretty easy to pull up. I actually like kind of a springy clip, so that's a plus for me. It doesn't feel like the kind of clip that would break off. It's definitely made out of steel, so I think it'll be durable enough. I've been using it in my pants, and you can see that it hasn't really kind of worn or nothing's really happened to it. So I like this clip. It's a good one for me. I'm going to rave about this design here. I love when there's cutouts that make the tail really easy to access. Now, none of this really protrudes up, so it's not an issue, but still the fact that it's just kind of like even easier to get your finger in there because there's all these gaps, I love it. And also, this switch itself, which is metal, it is so easy to actuate. You push this button and there's no play in it. You push it, it goes down every single time. I wish all switches were like this. I mean, I'm looking at you, KR4. The switches on the back of these KR4s are always kind of squishy, and if you kind of get them at the wrong angle, sometimes it won't activate. It's always an issue, and I've seen a lot of mods on Reddit where people try to improve it by putting O-rings and other things inside. No such issues with the E70. This is an amazingly great implementation of an E-switch, and I wish all companies would do it like this. This is a really good one. It's just really clicky, really solid, no play. It just feels great. I just want all my E-switches to feel like this. Let's quickly go over the UI. AceBeam came up with a scheme here to prevent accidental activations in your pocket. Instead of having to lock out your light, let's take a look at what we typically do with, let's say, an Endurial KR4 here or a D4. Typically what you do is you got your light and it's on, and if you put it in your pocket and accidentally gets activated, the light turns on, which could obviously drain the battery, but more importantly, even burn a hole in your leg if it goes to turbo. So the way an Enduro to take care of this is to lock it out. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, it's locked out. Now you just have momentary and you're safe. To get the light back out of lockout, you have to 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I've got it again. A little bit of a pain in the butt, not terrible, but I mean, it's just a necessary evil, right? Well, that's where this comes in. This light, instead of having a lockout, you have to double press to turn it on. So the chance that you're going to accidentally activate it in your pocket is slim, because I can tap this and nothing happens, right? But if I double tap, then it turns on. Since most of my lights don't double tap to turn on, it is a little bit of a re-education, but I mean, only for a few minutes. And then after carrying it all day long for just a couple of days, it becomes second nature. I actually really like it. I mean, double tap, you got the light, you can go all the different modes, right? And then just one click to go off again. So it's really simple. I actually like it. I have no problem with this. It's just a different way to go. Having 2 clicks to turn on becomes easy enough, fast enough, and it prevents me from that 4-click kind of nightmare that we got on Endurial. So 2 clicks to turn on, and then to go through the modes, you just press and hold the tail switch, and it goes through low, medium, medium, and high, right? Low, medium, medium, high. So there's 4 different modes there. Now, if I tap it off, there's also kind of a ultra low mode. I don't know if it's a moonlight, but if you press and hold from off, it will go to that kind of ultra low mode right there. We'll get measurements of all these different modes on the Lumen tube in a moment. And also while it's on, if you double tap again, you go to turbo. So really it's a 6-mode light, I suppose. So an ultra low, 4 regular modes, and turbo. While it's on, you can also triple tap, 1, 2, 3, and it goes into a tactical strobe. I'm not a big fan of strobes myself, but it's there if you want it. Let's take a look at it on the Lumen tube now. So I got the light here. We'll go ahead and put it into the ultra low mode and put it in there. And I'm not even reading a lumen. So that's probably a sub-lumen mode. And let's now go ahead and press and hold to go to the next mode. And we got 45 lumens. And now we got 150-ish, 145, whatever that says. Go to the next mode. Now we got almost 500 lumens. And this should be our last one. And 1200 lumens. And we haven't even hit turbo. So that's pretty cool. I round off because, I mean, again, I don't know how accurate any of this is. This is just, so you can see what I'm getting in this tube here. But we are fully charged, so we're going to, again, go to low, and we got, about 40 or 50 lumens. About, I skipped one there, but it was 150, about 500, and then at the top, we got about 1200, 1150, something like that. Now let's go to turbo. So let me go back on here, and let's go to turbo, and turbo is reading almost 4,000 lumens. I got 3820, 3800. Something I want to point out here is this came on at about 3,800 lumens, right? That's out the front lumens too. That's not theoretical lumens. And I'm standing here with this on, talking to you, and it's only dropped about 100 lumens, right? Try this with a Hank light. Try this with a lumen top, right? Guys, you know what happens with the output. I mean, and this light is getting really hot to the touch at the tip here, but that's the way these lights are. These AceBeams, they are well regulated. They're really well designed. They just do not drop that fast. If I take a D4, for example, here, let me unlock the D4. Let's put that on turbo and just get a kind of a comparison here. So it starts at 2,700 and watch this thing drop. I mean, I just put it in. I mean, I was talking for quite a while on that other light. You can see it's already dropped about 200. And I mean, it's only been in there for a little while. Look, I'm at 2,000. Oh, look at it drop now. Look at that. We're at 1,300, 1,200, 1,000. I mean, that's insanity. I mean, there's just no output sustainability with those other lights. So I guess that's my big thing about this light is, yeah, it's bigger, but this is like a tool. This is like a real honest to goodness tool that is regulated at all modes and will continue to pump out what you need. And the fact that it's based on a 21700 battery, so you got a longer runtime, I mean, there's a lot to like here. Now, when we go outside and take a look at it, you're going to realize that it's all about the lumens. The tint isn't amazing. If you're interested in high CRI, you can get this in a high CRI version, but it's roughly half the lumens. So I actually think that a light like this is really good in the, 70 or 80 low CRI, 70.2 Cree emitter here. I think this is the way to go. Just, give me sure lumens. All right, let's take it outside and see how it does against the D4 and the KR4. All right, let's take a look at some beam shots. Let's start out with the KR4 here by MSR or International Outdoor. These are 219B Nichias at SW45K, and I'm running a 9 amp driver with 50% FET when I go to turbo. So this is top of ramp. So this is the 9 amp driver top of ramp. Okay, in the foreground here, go on those trees, and I don't know if I'm making it to the palm trees, the 4 in the back that are 110 meters away, but let's go to turbo, double tap. Oh, we are now. You can tell that the back trees are lighting up a little bit. Let me turn this off. These trees back here, let's try again. Yep, they're lighting up a little bit. Okay, so that is your baseline, if you will. Now let's take a look at a D4V2. This is with SST20s. And this is going to be a little throwier, being the SSTs. Here we are at top of ramp, and you can see that it is throwier. And then double click, and yeah, that's better. Definitely more lumens than the Nichia 219Bs were. So there you go. This is a high CRI option, though. This is, but again, this is a really solid general light, but it's not about lumens on this one. Now let's talk about the E70 here. The E70. This thing is all about lumens, right? So let's double tap to turn on. Where am I at? Okay, so here's low. Let's go to medium 1, medium 2, and high. There's high, and then turbo. There you go. So this thing puts out a lot of light and kind of a bigger beam than the D4. Let's take a look here. Let's go to top of ramp. On this one, let's go to high. So this is the D4 on the left. Here is the E70 on the right, okay? So D4 and E70. Yeah, it looks like the hot spot is a little bit bigger on the E70. Let's go to turbo and turbo. Well, there you go. And I mean, if you don't see the difference, let me tell you this. This one is already basically too hot to hold. It's like I don't want to touch it right there on the end. And it's only been on for a little while. This one is still pretty cool. That's just the difference with the regulated driver and then FET, right? FET is very inefficient and puts out a lot of heat. So, well, inefficient as far as heat is concerned. But, this is a fully regulated flashlight, this one over here. So I guess my summary here is, so if I was getting this E70 for everyday carry, I would definitely get this in aluminum. This is the aluminum version. I would not go for the heavier stainless steel or brass or anything like that. But here's the other thing. I really don't grab this for everyday carry. This is kind of beyond what I like. I'm not a really big guy. I'm 5'10". If I was 6'2", 6'3", or something like that, maybe this would be fine. But I find it just too bulky for me. So I grabbed this as kind of just a walking light. And this one is more efficient and puts out more light than these guys. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this light, but just not really in the EDC role. But if you're a big guy and you want the maximum output and runtime that you can fit in your pocket reasonably, I think the AceBeam E70 is a wonderful choice for you.